Let's talk about something that's whispered about behind closed doors, misunderstood by many and misrepresented in movies, what men really consider great sex. It's not all about wild positions, porn-like performances, or the longest sessions. That's surface-level thinking. Real intimacy, it's deeper. It touches the core of a man's desires, emotions, and psychology. If you want to understand what makes sex unforgettable for a man, here are 4 secrets that most people never tell you. Emotional safety equals erotic freedom. You want to know what actually unlocks a man's raw passion? It's when he feels emotionally safe with you. When a man trusts you not just with his body, but with his vulnerabilities, his fears, his unspoken desires, that's when sex becomes transformative for him. He no longer feels judged. He doesn't have to pretend. He can just be. And when a man can be himself, he becomes more generous, more intense, more invested in pleasing you. Emotional connection unlocks erotic confidence. Never underestimate the power of emotional intimacy. It sets the stage for the kind of sex he'll remember for the rest of his life. Admiration turns him on more than you think. Men crave admiration in a way most women crave love. It's not just ego, it's wiring. When you look at him like he's the sexiest man alive, when you moan his name like no one else exists, when you tell him he drives you crazy, it charges his masculinity. Great sex for a man is not just about orgasm, it's about how he feels in your presence. Make him feel desired, needed, and masculine, and you'll watch him go to lengths to please you in ways you never imagined. Presence over performance. Here's a shocking truth. Men don't care about how perfect you perform in bed. They care about your presence. Are you really with him in the moment? Are your eyes saying, "I want you"? Are your hands, your moans, your movements filled with passion? Or are you just going through the motions? Great sex is when you are fully present, emotionally, mentally, and physically. When you surrender to the moment, when you're not afraid to express what you like and ask for what you want. He feels that. He mirrors it. And it becomes more than sex. It becomes a soul-deep connection. Mystery triggers obsession. Let's get psychological. Men are drawn to mystery. Not confusion, but the kind of emotional tension that keeps him engaged. When you show a little restraint, when you leave him wondering what you're thinking, when you share your desires slowly and with depth, it pulls him in. The most unforgettable women are the ones who don't reveal everything at once. They understand the power of teasing, not just with the body, but with energy, with eye contact, with silence. Great sex, for men, is often about when a man feels emotionally safe with a woman, something powerful and often unexpected happens. His guard drops. Beneath all the surface-level behaviors, the confident persona, the masculine energy, there is a part of him that craves to be seen without being judged. And that part, though rarely spoken of, holds the key to unlocking a depth of desire that no physical act alone can match. Emotional safety isn't about babying him or agreeing with everything he says. It's about creating an atmosphere where he can be imperfect, uncertain, even weak at times, without the fear that it will be used against him. When he feels that the woman in his life truly accepts him, not the polished, put-together version, but the real him, that's when the emotional intimacy begins. And that emotional intimacy is what transforms physical connection into magnetic, unforgettable passion. A man might be used to keeping things locked inside. Maybe he grew up being told to hide his feelings, to man up, to never cry. Over time, that conditioning creates emotional armor. He becomes sexually active, but emotionally withdrawn, and when that's the case, sex becomes mechanical, pleasurable but empty. But when he meets a woman who listens without rushing to fix, who holds space for his silence, his confusion, his darker thoughts, something begins to shift. His nervous system relaxes, his mind slows down. He doesn't just want to touch her, He wants to melt into her. His desire stops being about release and starts becoming about connection. In that space, he no longer needs to perform. He simply needs to feel. And when he does, he starts to give back from a place of depth, not just instinct. That kind of safety is rare for most men. They may sleep with many, but open up to few, and that's why the woman who creates emotional safety becomes unforgettable. She becomes the place where he doesn't just explore his fantasies, he discovers himself. And the paradox is that the more emotionally naked he can be, the more sexually alive he becomes. When he knows he won't be laughed at for what excites him, when he feels safe sharing what he's never told anyone, when he senses that his woman sees his darkness and still stays, that's when a man gives his full self, not just his body. He stops needing to chase validation elsewhere. He begins to crave the connection that only she can give him. In that safety, he becomes playful again, curious. He's more willing to take risks, to try new things, to ask her what she wants and truly listen. He's more attuned to her pleasure because he's no longer wrapped in layers of performance or ego. He's present, and in presence, his desire is not fleeting, it's anchored in trust, in emotional openness, in the freedom to be human. That's the kind of desire that doesn't fade overnight. It builds, it deepens, and it transforms every intimate moment into something sacred. Admiration to a man is like oxygen to fire. It fuels his masculine energy in ways even he may not fully understand. When a man feels truly admired by a woman, it awakens something primal inside him. He stands taller, he thinks sharper, he touches with more confidence, and he connects with more intensity. It's not about flattery or manipulation. It's about authentic appreciation, the kind that speaks directly to his soul and makes him feel seen, not just for what he does, but for who he is at his core. A man who feels admired transforms. He becomes more of what he already is, but stronger, more alive, more present. And that energy doesn't just spill into his everyday life, it floods the bedroom with a kind of passion that can't be manufactured. When a woman tells her man that she feels safe with him, that she's proud of him, that his presence excites her, something changes in the way he sees himself. His masculinity is no longer something he has to prove. It's something that is witnessed and honored. That's powerful, because masculinity thrives not in the face of resistance, but in the mirror of reflection. When a woman reflects back to him his strength, his leadership, his ability to make her feel desired, he feels validated in his role. Not because she needs him to complete her, but because she celebrates the energy he brings. That celebration turns him on, not just sexually, but psychologically and spiritually. He begins to crave the connection, not out of lust, but out of a deep desire to give, to protect, to lead, and to provide pleasure. Too often, men go through life not knowing if they're truly appreciated. They may be admired professionally, respected socially, but emotionally overlooked in their intimate relationships. They hear what they're doing wrong, what needs to change, what could be better, but rarely what makes them uniquely powerful, what makes them desirable. And the truth is, admiration isn't weakness, it's nourishment. It tells a man that who he is, when fully present, is enough. And when he feels that, he's more likely to open up, to become generous in his affection, and to pursue his woman not just with his body, but with his heart and focus. When admiration is expressed physically, through eye contact, soft praise, a moan whispered into his ear, it becomes a sexual language that charges him. He wants to conquer, to impress, to ravish, but all in service of the woman who sees him as the man he longs to be. Her admiration becomes his fuel, her respect becomes his fire, and in that dynamic, sex becomes a dance of energy, not just of technique. He gives because he's seen, he tries because he's valued, and in that space his masculine energy rises, not from a place of ego, but from a place of purpose. That's the kind of man who shows up differently, who loves harder, and who makes intimacy feel like a gift rather than a routine. There's something deeply magnetic about a woman who is fully present in the moment. Her presence speaks louder than any move she could make, louder than any technique she could learn. Presence doesn't require perfection, it requires connection. And for a man, nothing is more arousing than feeling that the woman he is with is truly there, body, mind, and soul. Not performing, not trying to impress, not acting out some scene she thinks he wants, but simply allowing herself to feel, to respond, to express her real energy. That authenticity is what ignites his passion. When she is present, she invites him to be present too, and in that mutual state of awareness, the intimacy becomes electric, unforgettable, alive. A man can sense when a woman is in her head, disconnected from her body. He can feel when she's thinking about how she looks or whether she's doing things right. That mental noise creates distance, not closeness. Performance can mimic desire, but it doesn't carry the same depth. It might excite him temporarily, but it doesn't imprint on his heart. What stays with a man long after the lights are out is not a flawless routine. It's a woman's raw, unfiltered energy. Her sighs, her laughter, her breath when she pulls him closer, the way her body responds without trying. These moments make him feel chosen, not just used. They create a rhythm between two people that no technique can replace. Being present also means showing your pleasure, letting yourself feel, letting go of the urge to control the moment and allowing yourself to be taken, touched, explored. When a woman expresses her pleasure honestly, without trying to fake it, without trying to impress, it drives a man wild, because he sees that he is the one bringing that out in her. That sense of responsiveness, of shared energy, creates a feedback loop. The more present she is, the more present he becomes. And in that space, both people stop thinking and start feeling. Men aren't looking for a performance, they're looking for realness. They want to see the woman who isn't afraid to let her hair fall in her face, who moans without holding back, who opens her eyes and looks directly into his. They want to feel her hands grab them with need, her body arch not on cue, but because she can't help it. That kind of surrender only comes when she's present, when she's not worried about the outcome or the comparison or the pace. She's just there, fully alive in every touch, every sound, every second. True presence creates emotional intimacy. It builds trust. It turns sex into connection and connection into chemistry. It's not about having the perfect body or trying every trick in a magazine. It's about being fully engaged, fully open, and fully willing to be seen. Presence brings the sacred into the physical, making even the simplest touch feel profound. And for a man, that's not just satisfying, it's unforgettable. Mystery is one of the most misunderstood yet powerful forces in sustaining long-term desire, especially for men. It's not about playing games or being distant, but about maintaining a sense of depth that isn't fully revealed all at once. Men are naturally drawn to what they don't fully understand, what they haven't completely figured out. When a woman carries herself with layers of thought, of emotion, of sensuality, it creates a pull. He may be physically satisfied, emotionally connected, and even spiritually bonded with her, but when there is still something about her that feels just out of reach, he keeps reaching. That reaching becomes craving, and that craving turns her into an unforgettable presence in his life. Mystery doesn't mean hiding who you are. It means not giving everything away immediately, When you unfold slowly, when you reveal pieces of your soul and sensuality in phases, it keeps him engaged. He leans in more, he listens deeper, he wants to know what's beneath the surface. A woman who doesn't overshare or rush intimacy, who keeps some of her thoughts unspoken and her energy subtly reserved, becomes intriguing. She creates tension, not by withholding affection, but by allowing her full self to be experienced over time. She doesn't need to be loud to be noticed. Her silence has gravity. Her gaze holds questions. Her energy says, "There's more, but only if you earn it." This kind of mystery is not manipulation. It's a form of self-respect. It says, "I am not easily consumed. I am meant to be discovered layer by layer." And for a man, that journey of discovery is erotic in itself. It activates his drive, not just sexually, but emotionally. He begins to associate her with something beyond pleasure. He associates her with a sense of purpose, a challenge that awakens his masculine desire to pursue, to earn, to go deeper. And in that pursuit, his craving intensifies. A woman who maintains mystery isn't cold or unavailable. She's warm, receptive, and expressive, but she doesn't hand over her emotional and sexual landscape all at once. She lets him experience her in waves, sometimes soft, sometimes wild, sometimes quiet, sometimes intense. That unpredictability becomes thrilling. It creates a rhythm that keeps sex from becoming mechanical and the relationship from becoming predictable. He starts to anticipate her without fully knowing her next move, and that anticipation builds desire. Men don't fall in love with certainty. They fall in love with wonder. When a woman leaves space for imagination, when she maintains her sense of individuality, her own inner world, her own emotional universe that doesn't revolve solely around him, he stays fascinated. He wants to penetrate not just her body, but her mind, her soul, her story. That craving doesn't fade because the mystery keeps evolving. And when she lets him in, bit by bit, each moment becomes more meaningful, more earned, more alive. And that's how mystery, when used with depth and sincerity, keeps a man's heart and body yearning for her even when he already has her. Great sex for a man isn't just physical, it's deeply emotional, subtly psychological, and profoundly spiritual. When he feels emotionally seen, admired, fully present with you, and just a little intrigued by your mystery, you don't just give him pleasure, you give him an experience, and that's what keeps a man addicted, devoted, and enchanted beyond the bedroom.